What is up? Workbringer here, and today we're going to be checking out a run of Sanguine Depths +7 on Tyrannical Storming. Storming is the one that makes this kind of interesting. We're starting off with a double pull, Avenging Wrath into Divine Toll, into the big Shield of the Righteous plus the Legendary. Group them up here, even though I don't think we have a Venthyr, but that's where you group them for the buff, if you did. So today we're running with a Rogue, a Lock, and a Shadow Priest. Why have a Rogue on Storming on a, for a Pug, relatively high key? That's because I think it's the Rogue's key, I would guess. Because yeah, I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm not bringing melee unless it's a guild group. I'm not bringing melee to high keys. I'm sorry, on Storming. It's just a nightmare for them. It's just so hard. Not a fun time. You'll see that the Rogue does get the business quite a bit from this place, and it's because it's little corridors with tornadoes spawning. So when I do like a big pull like that, what was it, like 10 mobs or something like that? Once they because no one interrupted or stunned the other ones, right? So let's break it down why this is bad. We have Thrusting, which will half health you at least on a 7. On a 10, it would probably just kill you, depending on your health pool and cooldowns. So those red lines, don't stand in them. There's also red traps on the ground, those circles. I think I just set one off. I don't know. Don't stand in that. It will also, look at rogue health, very low. And then there's tornadoes that spawn randomly from each ad. Those tornadoes do a bit of damage on a 7. On a 9, which I did some 9s, unsuccessfully, unfortunately. The tornadoes actually hurt on 9s. Whereas here they kind of just tickle, and they throw you into other bad mechanics, like the traps, like the thrusting. Very tough for melee. The Shadow Priest and the Lock are like, lol, we just sit here and cast. No volcanic, lovely. But for the tank, for the melee, real tough time in this place. However, it is not fortified, so this trash is a bit of a joke. Hence the pretty aggressive pulling here, except for the hallway, which I can kind of explain the hallway. So, in this dungeon, I've run this 7, I think 4 times, something like that, without finishing it, right? Disbanding, right? Not so good. At higher keys, you actually do not necessarily pull these all together. And on for some routes that I've seen like Dratnos do, you actually skip this route, and you don't need a Rogue or anything. However, we do have a Rogue and a Lock, which is actually what you need to do like the Omega skipping for the, optimal prideful timings. But what I've been seeing for pugs is like I've been like kind of stressed about like trying to get these perfect timings, and I think for the first ones I'm just gonna let myself spawn prideful, like kind of when it happens, and like try not to like completely ignore it and have it pull in a dangerous time, like in the middle of like a double pull. That would be pretty bad. But in the beginning, if it doesn't spawn perfectly, especially in a pug, just have that be okay. It's part of the learning process and optimization. And I've seen very experienced tanks be like off by a little bit, and they don't spawn prideful at all. They don't have it for the boss, and it's, that's part of the fun and the process and the improv. And if someone butt pulls again, it goes wrong. Anyway, this is what consumes my mind with World of Warcraft anyway as a tank, is like I'm geared for a 10. I know how to do 10s. I can fight a prideful as a tank. Like I tank it, and I don't stand in the beam. However, it's route, and I want to just put my best foot forward and not grief 4 people for 40 minutes by having a trash route. So that's what I'm working on. Trash here on a 7. Nothing for this 204 Protection Paladin. I don't know. So this place drops level 200 gear. I'm 207. Not everything I have is 200 eye level, but a lot of it is. Like me getting loot from a 200 level loot, I'm like, okay. There's like, I think my belt is like 197, so it'd be like 3 levels. It's not a huge deal. So I think I'm at gear level for this, which is the way that I would recommend people who are new like myself to think about loot. Is that if the dungeon is dropping level 200 gear, and you're not level 200, would make sense because you want to aspire to get that gear. However, the further you are from it, every item level you're further from it, you're just your primary stats, your stamina, and whatever, you probably need to outplay the level. Then you need to be not like learning it, but you need to outplay it. You need to not get hit by any damage mechanics. If the healer is not like 10 eye levels above it. I'm currently I'm currently 4.5 eye levels above this place. So I can take the tanking a little aggressively with my health pool and with my heals. Like my heals out heal even this guy. Like he hits pretty hard sometimes. Like I'm not worried. I don't even use defense. I barely use defensive on Crixus until the soak phase, the ball soak phase. So let's talk about this fight on a 7 Tyrannical, right? So this dude hits, you need to interrupt immediately. You should anticipate as a tank interrupting that. Let the DPS just do what they do. Juggernaut Rush. He's going to target someone, everyone soak it. Don't need a defensive, however. Not a big deal, right? If everyone's at like a reasonable stamina and there's like no, okay, bad interrupt, too slow. You know, defensive for headbutt, not a big one. That's not it. Severing Smash. Run away, melee. I told the rogue this. Run away. There's the ball. We need to pop it, but it's big damage to the raid when you do. You can pop a defensive there. And for me, as a prot pal, got big heals after. No big deal. So, another interrupt. Some of the balls do make it back to him. It heals him. I think it does some damage. I'm not sure if it's the same or more. But I actually find that that's okay for pugs, and I'm not, like, overemphasizing it. Because what we want to do is not wipe to all those balls being popped at once. And if that means we're staggering and we kind of miss it, so to speak, here's another phase. Knockback, right? Plus the ball comes out. If we don't die, but one of the balls makes it back to him, that's fine. We can still time. We can still get this done. And I still believe that now for a 7, while we're all still relatively under-geared. I'm at gear for this place. I think the healer is about eye level 200 as well. So we're doing pretty well. Now, this single target damage that I'm looking at here is not amazing, right? If you watch my Necrotic Wake 7 run, I believe, Beast Mastery Hunter, 2 of them, 3.5 single target sustained the entire fight, right? Balanced Druid, convoking to like 7k on demand. I think I just let him have that ball because I don't want to kill everyone, right? I don't have any major defensives left, so I'm like, let's just let him have it. But anyway, as it currently is, when I'm running +8, +9, and definitely 10s. I mean, just don't even come to 10s, please. If you can't put up these numbers, it's not for you, in my opinion. You're gonna want the 200, 201. Plus, you know what you're doing. Fire Mage, Hunter, either spec, Lock is okay, single target at the moment. You need 3.5. We need 3.5, or the fights go too long, right? And that's for Tyrannical Reek specifically, where it's kind of like raid. It's kind of like boss fights. You know, it's long boss fights. The longer the boss fight, the worse. The worse that this all gets. And there's soft and rage mechanics. You gotta kill him. And if we don't have the DPS, you can't kill him. So it's bad. So this is low, and this is a lot of fight. This is a lot of phase. I will, spoiler alert, we do finish this, time it quite confidently. However, little bit low on the DPS. Rogue is somehow carrying the top DPS despite storming, despite all this, and we get it, right? So we're being pretty forgiving with not popping all the balls, but I actually think that's low-key the strat when you're under-geared like this. And keep in mind, this is a Resto Shaman who's Necrolord, be getting that buff over there. Also, like, so this group is okay. It's fine. Like, especially the healer. Like, if you're the healer in this group, like, add me on BattleNet. Like, what's up? Let's do some keys. Other people, they're doing their DPS, but they're kind of annoying me for pug tanking, and I'm talking specifically about that priest. So they ran in this room. Everyone should know that those 2 casters pop out, the acolytes, and like, let me pull those. Like, why is a priest who priests are cloth and you'll just get destroyed? Not that these are physical melee, but I'm like, stay in the back. Stay in the back. What are you doing? Like, at least stay near me. Like, you should not body pull as a priest. You're gonna get wrecked, like absolutely destroyed. So they pulled those. Not a fan. Not a fan when the healer's getting mana. Tank is waiting for the healer. Healer's doing Necrolord things. Like, chill, like seriously. And this Shadow Priest is actually an issue of this entire dungeon. A little over eager. Does pop up into the 3s for DPS, but I'm not impressed My friend Shadow Priest is doing 7k burst for like a second. But it's like, these are not incredible numbers. And I'm not like, oh, okay, like you are like, oh, I see you're pulling like 15s all night and this is like a fun one for you, so you're messing around. Like, it's not like that. Like, this DPS, I'm not impressed. Anyway, we got to focus down this Grand Overseer. I marked as priority target and priority interrupt. That's for the rogue, right? That's me and the rogue. I've got 3 interrupts. He's got, I don't know how many, a bunch of interrupts. You can interrupt while in the air, not a big deal. He must die. He does before he does the oppression chain thing where we all take AoE damage and we can't move and it's bad stuff. You have to run away. But you're not running away and storming in this place. Next, Grand Overseer must kill. I think he's also building up these stacks up there. Those oppression stacks. I forget what those are called, but you can see it on the top right. I have my debuffs gigantic for LVUI now. And I actually wrote a new weak aura that tracks my Shield of the Righteous, which is purple, and my Consecration, which is yellow. And it's actually tricky to write the Consecration one because it's a totem. And so that will tell you how much time is left on Consecration, and it will turn gray if I'm not standing in it, but will still be ticking down. So it's like this double weak aura that I had to write. And for those of you that don't know who I am in real life, I am actually a game developer, so I really enjoy writing weak auras, and I really am considering making a WoW add-on for Protection Paladins for Mythic Plus, because there's a lot of functionality that could be smoothed out. So look out for that for the future. The Workbringer Prot Paladin Mythic Plus add-on, I'm considering it. It's just like a fun side hobby. This whole thing is kind of a side hobby for me, but writing add-ons for it is kind of compelling. It's what I do for a living, is program game stuff. But anyway, another Grand Overseer. The only thing is that if you see your tank pulling the mobs over here on Storming, it sucks. I don't think you can get knocked off, or I have not been knocked off yet by it, like to my death down there. You do this because it's actually very easy to AoE pull the other room, and I still have Divine Shield, but I would like to save it. That's really dangerous, that Overseer over there, but we're kind of done here. You don't want to double pull these unless you want to double pull these. Like, I would say, like, if like my Fire Mage is like, I'm like, okay, there's like voice comes, I'm like, hey, you got Combust? They're like, I got Combust. The healer, I'm like, you got some, I don't know what shamans have. I'm like, you got that heals cooldown for me? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I got Avenging and all my defenses. Let's just blow this up. Now, you should save that for the boss, obviously, on Tyrannical. But like on, say, Fortified, if you wanted to, like, push these keys and everyone knows, I'm like, okay, we're double pulling this. I'll LOS them in. And we just pop all the cooldowns. They need to melt, though, in the first 15 seconds, or we die. Or it gets hairy. Or you need to be then very on top of... See, I'm calling to CC that one. We actually burn it down so fast. But that, like, enraged one, I don't know where it comes from or what the deal is, but you can just stun it. But it does big tank damage if it gets to me. So I usually call out to stun that one. But as tank, I don't want auto markers for this. In my opinion, I think auto markers are really annoying, and I actually have an add-on that's doing auto markers, especially in Spires of Ascension, which I hate because you really need to mark Spires of Ascension correctly. It's not always the squad leader that needs to die first. I mean, like, in theory it is because they're like buffing everyone, but in practice, I find that there's other things that need to get CC'd quicker, like the worms, like the lions. There's just other things, but there's some add-on auto marking stuff, and I can't figure out if it's DBM or Mythic Dungeon Tools or what's going on with that, but the add-on I want to write for this is essentially a smart tracker. So let's talk about this before I get into my smart tracker wants. We are going to clear this on Tyrannical with this low-ass DPS. I'm sorry. I just got put... It is what it is. Also, this Remnant of Fury is actually the target mob that we need to silence. That's the one you do not want to enrage or whatever it's doing. That one, and if we have another stun, I would stun the throw research just as much as you can, right? So I've got a Hodge. I don't know what the rogue has, like some sort of disembowel or something. Anyway, I am actually going to run the other direction, and I'm telling them there's a very specific strat that I have for this with the timing, with the patrolling, which I can't control the patrolling always, but we're going to clear this part out because if the fight goes long, which I'm just looking at the DPS, I'm like, I'm not seeing 3s, I'm not seeing 5 single target. I'm like, okay, it's possible that we're going to moonwalk ourselves back to this. That got interrupted, thank God. We're going to moonwalk ourselves back here. And if you saw one of my earlier runs on a 6, we finished the boss, but we butt pulled. and it forced me to pop all cooldowns to finish it off and not die. Tank dying is like lost confidence, which is from Spires of Ascension. Lost confidence and timing. Like if I never die, if everyone dies but I'm still alive, we still timing it, right? Not a big deal. We're going to take this one solo, or at least I'm going to try to, and I'm by the lantern like a good boy, but I body pull the group. Here, that's body pull. Didn't mean to do that, but at least this dude has done his Severing Slice. I disrupted Turn to Stone, and he's on the way out. However, we're just trying to minimize Craggy Fractures, right? Also, look who got hit by the Craggy Fracture, the Priest. And then look who gets hit by everything else, the Rogue. So it's the melee, it's tough life. The red pool came down. May not have been expecting it. Shadow Priest continues to be an issue in this dungeon. Pulling ahead when they shouldn't be, and not watching mechanics. Not understanding it. They are, however, carrying top DPS. They are ranged. They're not flying in tornadoes. I'll still take it. But not my favorite. Okay. Here comes the title of this run here. Earth Elemental saves run. That's about to happen right here. Those research scribes, they don't move. They don't move. I think someone was like mind bending, and by someone I mean the Shadow Priest. I think you can actually delay this even further, even if the mobs are aggroed. As long as we're not aggroing them, we're okay. But anyway, not the cleanest pull timing for me, but I'm not trying to wait either, right? Waiting is equally bad when we're timing. Rogue, instantly dead. Sorry, melee, with tornadoes and red pools. Earth Elemental tanking 3 mobs for me for 1 whole minute. While I start to clean up these other ones, put a little threat on the table of those other ones, so hopefully when the Earth Elemental goes away, I'm next on threat table and I get it. And so, what is left but the tank Prot Pal who overlevels this place by a bit, right? I'm not really worried about dying to this stuff, but I am unable to prioritize anyone else's health over mine. That Elemental's still taking all the threat. And I'm just trying to make sure when it goes away, I get it back. But I'm taking a little bit too much damage, and we see the Arsham, and I bop him. Not that it's all physical, it's all magical damage, but it's just like, I'm watching you. If me and you live this, we're okay. And we do. And we do. But yeah, that was a not ideal timing for that, because I didn't have, actually I do have Toll now, and I just wasted on these 2, but we're about to single target fight someone. Or we do have an ad pack, but I'm like, let's just finish this up and keep moving. Again, tank and healer still alive. Run back. No big deal. 3 deaths, 15 seconds. We're good, right? Tank didn't die. Healer didn't die. Good stuff. Not clean. Didn't like it. Don't like that happening, but Resto Shaman for the win. Cap Totem. AoE stun, Earth Elemental, tank the dungeon for you for a minute, though it can be a little buggy when it's like spread cleave threat. It can't do. It's not going to go pick up everyone. It's going to pick somebody. So there's a chance it goes and picks up like a mage in the background or something like that, and you're actually not tanking all that much. But what an external. I don't think they have Iron Bark or Bark Skin or whatever like a druid has. I'm just getting out of there. These things enrage, and I'm like, nope. I tell everyone we're going to kite this beforehand. I need a macro for it, by the way. But that's actually one of the things I'm going to be writing in my add-on. Or maybe I can do it just through macros and scripts. Hodge, so that they can all stick together. Because if I lose aggro on this pack while I'm kiting, game over. Game over for the rogue, game over for the shaman, game over for who takes threat, which would probably be the priest or maybe the rogue. Who's ever popping the most AoE threat table, you're dead. I lose threat on these, and those turn around and even look at a rogue, they're dead instantly. It would be like, it's like one swipe and you're dead. But yeah, we're kiting these away. This is the strat. Anyone that grieves me over this doesn't tank and should be quiet. That's how you have to pull that. And then you have to eat 2 tornadoes on the way back through your Divine Steed. That's part of it. So we're going to get into this fight. Spoiler, it goes really well, so not a lot to explain, but I'll kind of talk about the mentality. But the add-on I'm going to write is basically a smart marker where, like, I'm going to put a skull on a mob, and then it's going to say, it's going to look at what mob it is, and I know, and then it's going to say something to the group about what to do in a very short, concise way. And it's also going to look at your group composition and say like, oh, like this is the, say for instance, the Houndmaster. I'm telling everyone to get left here. Look at that Shadow Priest about to eat it. You deserve this. What's going to happen to you, Shadow Priest? I was telling everyone to get left. Bow. Eat that red circle. That's you. That's on you. Okay, so when you get Castigate on the Rogue, that Rogue needs to pop a cooldown, a defensive cooldown. We're on the right side. I am marking the priority target, which is this manifestation. The longer that's alive, the more AoE damage, and the worse the red pool on the ground, right? Which, it goes down pretty quick, not bad. Castigate on the Shaman. Heal yourself, brother. Heal it. I should off-heal you a little bit, actually. We've moved to the right side of the hallway. We're going to stay here for a bit. Let the, stay in place casters stay in place. We're now on the left side. I have a free heal. It's probably going to go for myself. There it is. The next manifestation spawns. Mark it. Everyone priority kill it. If I see you attacking the boss, you get kicked on the next run. Not that I'm the lead here. Anyway, we have a red pool and I'm eating it. Got to make some room for the rogue. Let's back it up. I should have preemptively backed it up. A little bit of room. And we're on the other side. I'm not sure if that's the right side to be on. Oh, there it is. Correct. Okay. Hopefully no one got hit. We are pumping deeps onto the Shadow Priest. They deserve it. And rinse and repeat the whole way while doing as much cleave damage to the boss, but you got a priority target swap to the manifestation. Everyone's doing the thing. I've got Divine Shield left. Not massively worried. I'm sitting in that Castigate. Don't do that. Don't do that to me. Sitting in the red stuff. Should have kicked back a little bit faster. So I'm still not optimized for this. However, I am taking it a little slower than I normally do because we have Lock and Priest. Not a ton of like on the move casting happening for either one of those. I think maybe there's like Burning Rush or something like that for Locks, but it's a cooldown. Like you just can't cast while moving all that much. Same deal with the same thing with the R Shaman. Like they can kind of move, but not really. So I try not to be running the entire time. Anyway, I still have my big lay on hands. I still have Divine Shield. I could have used either. Divine Shield is usually better because I Divine Shield and then I can self-heal or they can heal me up. Versus lay on hands is I could full health and still just die. But yeah, that's how that fight goes. Pretty much up to everyone to survive. If it looks like you're dying to Castigate, that's because you're dying to Castigate. Pop a cooldown. As DPS, priority switch to the ad, but also cleave the boss as hard as you can. Switch back to the boss when there's no ad. And that's the tank dance. It's a pretty complicated one, actually. And on Tyrannical, you're going to want to clear some extra hallway in case, we don't have enough deeps to get it down as quickly as we did. So I talked about how like the deeps aren't like super high, but however, that is a DPS check in many senses. And is a pretty much an illustration on why melee is tough. Now, melee could basically cleave the entire time. However, they're going to lose uptime to they lose uptime if I don't do the tanking correctly, which is not always perfect, right? Because they can't stand in the red. Maybe the ad's not positioned perfectly. I'm moving back and forth, and it's not, not the easiest thing to do. I think I saw some flesh crafting going on over there. If that was guild group, I was like, I would always leave enough time for the healer to get their fleshcraft. Here, I didn't quite notice it. I saw it at the corner of my eye on this replay, but yeah, the healer's gonna, looks like they're fleshcrafting and then running back over here. I believe those oozes are a trinket. I used to have it, or I still have it. It's just really low eye levels. Just don't, I don't especially like that when the heal is so bad. But for a rogue that doesn't have much self-heal, if any, I'm not sure rogues have any self-heal, it's not such a bad trinket, I suppose. I forget how many orbs I told them to get, but again, I slightly out-level +7 here, slightly. So I think I only need 2 orbs, and then I take like 10% damage or something like that. And if I cool down, I take 0, basically. Let's see how many orbs I go for here. 1. I took 1. Let's see how much damage I take on this. Boom. I took none. Did I? Oh, I might have Divine Shielded. Never mind. I Divine Shielded the first one. What I should be doing on this fight is I'm not gonna get hurt by anything in this room except for spikes. This right here. I needed to have like something. But my Flash of Light, again, I just counter heal it. Plus Resto Shaman being able to just like sit there and pump a cast into me. Not a big issue. What I should be doing is just doing spinny hammer, spinny hammer, spinny hammer, and saving the holy power for Word of Glory for other people. Because I took 2 orbs there. Let's see how much this does. Yeah, nothing. 20%, no big deal. It's like half health, 60% health for everyone else. I should just be holding Word of Glory on this phase. Don't get hit by this, obviously. Just save Word of Glory for the party. And save a defensive for Iron Spikes or counter flash heal it. Because it's not all at once, it's like 1, 2, 3. So if I just sit myself down, make sure Consecration's up, make sure Righteous is up, I can just flash out heal that. My mana immediately comes back, I can do 4 flash heals back to back. Like flash, 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 flash would counter heal that. Even in higher keys, I believe. We'll see. Two little orbs. It's been going fine so far. Let's make sure that we're Shield the Righteous and Consecration. Keeping it up. Yeah, nothing. Save the Word of Glories for the party. Protection Paladin. That's your job. I am forming my opinions of Protection Paladin as I get higher. I don't feel like I can really speak on Protection Paladin tanking on like a guide or talents or anything until I've done at least a plus 10 or 15, right? And until I have, I think, like at least like our next conduit level, which will be like the next potency one, I think, for the dude I have. Then I feel like I can accurately like understand it. And at my skill level and progression, personal progression here, I think by the time I do get my next conduit, which is going to be like a week or two, I should be doing 10s at least, right? 10s with Prideful. Okay. Heal the Rogue, heal Shaman, right? Priest, maybe Dispersed or something doing it. GG's. Pretty cool. Yeah, don't stand in this stuff. Not a big deal. Easy fight. If anyone dies on that, it's like unacceptable because what we're doing next is just so much harder. So we're going to pick up the shield here. Pretty straightforward. We're going to say bye-bye because this gets a little crazy and clicking on that by accident is wipeable. Like, kind of. Like on the next pull after this, it's kind of wipeable to actually lose focus for that long. You eat a fraggy capture and a thrust and you're dead. And it's like, you know, we don't... Luckily here you would just wipe right back into the little chamber. Like, not a big deal. But, again, tank no die. Tank no die. Everyone else die. Tank no die. Healer, you let yourself die before you let me die. Especially Protection Paladin. Now a monk? Monk tank? You dead. Monk tank is not soloing anything. Self-heals on a monk? Not impressive. Warrior? You dead. Super dead. Death Knight, you're going to be good for a while. Death Knight lives longer than I do. I think a Revenge will also do quite well by themselves, but not as well as Death Knight and Prot Pal. But I can live for a very long time. So on a pull like that, that Shaman should let himself die while I continue to pop cooldowns, live, and they run back. Because there's a really good chance I've Divine Shielded into Guardians, which I have the level 200 now. Guardian of the Ancient King Conduit, which reduces the cooldown and gives me a free Word of Glory. That's a good conduit, let me tell you, for pushing like this. Pushing for me, anyway. I can live a long time. Let yourself die, Shaman. Just pump your last healing dot on me and just res yourself back over here. Now, I actually ran this with some of my guildies. I'm having a good time with my guild. I'm not on like the main raiding roster. That's not really my goal with it. But like when there's like a couple like small groups, some of them pump and some of them are still kind of under geared. But I'll just tank anything. I'm like, you want to tank a 2, tank a 4, tank a. When we get to 6 and 7, I'm like, what's your eye level? Like, what's your DPS? Like, be real with me because we could F that. You know, it could just be a bad run. No one wants to not time, right? But I did this on like a 2 or something like that with some guildies. And I was messing around with different pull styles. And you can pull that room, those 3 back into the other chamber. And I actually think it's much nicer. You have a lot more room, right? So, healers drinking, tank chilling. What y'all doing? What you doing? You pulling some bears? Like, what's going on? Like, don't do that. Like, stay back. Like, I understand we want to, like, keep time. But if the tank and the healer aren't there, what are you doing? You're doing nothing. Like, you're going to die. You can, if you're a hunter, your pet can tank it for like a second, but like, stay back. Stay back. Now, without voice comms, it's not obviously like in a guild group, it's like, it's just no. Like, it's just rude. But, you know, Pug still, I'm like, yo, stay back. Like, what up? The second time they run ahead too much. I'm like, I understand we want to time, but wiping is not timing. Wiping is not timing. people get real over anxious in pugs because I think they're used to having not me run it. Now I'm good sometimes, not good always, but I feel like I'm pretty consistent at this point. Gloom Squall in the air, by the way, the shield, boom. So they look at a tank or maybe whatever, and it's like, oh, they took 2 seconds in between the pull. Like, oh my god, and they're like, dude, you're like wasting time. It's like, no. You rushing the tank, you not letting the healer get full mana, and pulling something, which is what they're doing half the time, that's wasting time because then we can wipe. Maybe you're pulling something that's not on the route. Maybe you have no idea we're about to skip this next pack and you're like, let's go into it. And it's just like, don't do that, TPS. I don't care what you think you know. If you, and I'm talking to the warriors, I'm talking to you these warriors out here. If you think you know the route, you want to move quick, then pick yourself up a shield and start tanking. And good luck with Prot Paladin, Prot Warrior tanking right now in this expansion, but go ahead, tank it up. You run super fast. Go heroic, leap yourself into a bunch of mobs and die to magic dip. Like, anyway, don't do it. They're going too slow for you. Like, oh well, run with a guild. You're pugging and you're complaining about the tank that comes, like, then pick up a shield and start tanking. Show me the routes. Show me the stats. Like, I'm done with it. I like on pugs at this point, like, I'm almost at the point where like pugging Mythic Plus isn't really going to net me that much gear. You know what I mean? Like Great Vault, you get an upgrade, but I'm 204. I think End of Dungeon loot caps at 210. So I'm almost at the point with Mythics. Like I'm just doing it for IO and for fun. And there is going to be gear coming from it, right? But like I'm not massively far from being 210. And then it's like, I don't really need that much gear from this place. And if people are being jerks, now, what I try to do as a tank is I'm pretty good at like sussing out like the good groups. Like it's a healer and 4 DPS stacked ready to go. And then I'll come in and like I'll leave a group if I get bad vibes. Like at the point, at least we haven't pulled yet. I'm like, and we're not like going to the dungeon. I'm like, are you, you know, for halls? I'm like, we have a vent there. There, no, it's like, okay, I gotta go. Like you're just not really trying to do this then. Or if they're off in the same server, they're a guild. I'm like, okay, let's do this. But when it's like that real ragtag bad vibes from the beginning thing, mid-run, someone starts giving me the attitude, even once, I just leave in the middle of the pull. And I'm like, I'm not about it. Because you're going to bad attitude kill this for me. And I don't care. I don't even need this gear right now. That's what the point I'm getting at. And it's like, and I'm like, I'm going to run with my guild. I'd rather run 4s and 2s with a guild, gear them up, give all my plate gear away, and then have a group that like I know, you know, at this point. Like so pug. So if you pug with Workbringer and you see like the DPS mouthing off about route, get ready for Workbringer to leave. I'll make the videos about it. You know, it's not like something I want to promote, but really, unless you're tanking, you're not tanking. That's how I see it at this point, because I don't care. I'm trying to keep good vibes for my groups, trying to time. Sorry if we need to drink to get mana. We don't all run with rage that you just get from smacking shit and don't have to think about routes. Anyway, yeah. And now I'm saying this about warriors. I'm talking about pug warriors. I'm having pretty much an aversion to pug warriors. I'm pretty much never going to accept them. That being said, one of my favorite warriors in the world is in my guild. Love them. Bring them every time. Arms, popping big, AoE deeps. Love it. Pug warriors, miss me. Consistently bad attitude. Consistently die to mechanics. Let's just be real. So anyway, that's some past like garbage. What's it called? Luggage. I eat that one there, but I'm a Prot Paladin. It don't hurt me too much. I can basically just sit through half of these mechanics at a 7. No biggie. We're timing this. We're gonna time this, and I'm pulling them down. I run 7s now like I run 0s. It's like you have to respect the mechanics a little bit, but if I can tell the group is like like pumpers, I'll double pull. I'll pull that into this room, you know, but let's not wipe it just yet. Just because we had that little bit of a harrowing bad hallway pull, my confidence is a little low, but at this point, nothing's killing me here. I have Divine Shield. Nothing will kill me. Kill the group. We killed the group real easy. Like, basically, if you double, triple pull and people are flustered, nobody interrupts anything, and then people just die to damage. It's like, oh, here's 2 curses on you. Goodbye. It's been super real. I'm considering rolling Dwarf, to be honest. Like, I'm not trying to be a Dwarf, like, from, like, a transmog point of view, but that racial is a defensive racial, and it clears diseases and bleeds. That's OP in this one. There's so much bleeds into, like, that's huge. I might be a dwarf by the end of the next video we make. We'll see. Anyway, 7 in my opinion, not an issue on Tyrannical. Not an issue at all. For me, I believe I do all the mechanics correctly. I know the route, you know, no pridefuls. Prideful in this place is a little bit of a mixed bag. Like, I think you just kind of don't always get it on the boss, and it's fine. These bosses are not hard. Really, you just need to know the mechanic dance, and it's group. That's a healer fight in the hallway. Gloom Squall in the air. Thank you, tornadoes. Not cool. And that's a healer fight. Oh, wow. Who died? The priest. Rest in peace, that shadow priest. I'm telling you. We got stone on them or something. Something res them. Cool. But 7 here, I'm not mad. I'm not afraid of this place. I'll do this on a 10 right now. However, if I'm putting together a group, again, all range DPS, kind of hard favoring Beast Mastery Hunter. I would no lie, triple Beast Mastery Hunter this place. A little low on CC, but triple Beast Mastery. Resto Shaman. Everyone 200, 205, 204. Rest in peace, the Warlock. And I'm double pulling. I'm double pulling everything. I'm triple pulling. And it's like, if I could talk with the Resto, that would be the ideal. I'll be like, here go my first 2 cooldowns. I'm holding shield for this next triple pull. Hold the elemental for the hallway. You know? And it's like, as long as we're timing like my cooldowns with their cooldowns, we can live double pulls, triple pulls. Like, not a problem here. People are dying to mechanics. And it's a bit of a tough healing job for, I think there's dots. Again, in the air. Fun. Tornadoes are fun. I think I think when they do the piercing blur, I don't get this, but I think they die to a bleed or something like that. Not a tank problem. I want to tell you. You're getting it. I can't help you with that. All I can do is don't get hit by the stuff. Drop the gloom in front of call if we have... I mean, in general, that's the move. Wherever call goes, we drop right in front of it. So always safe. If tanks are playing the meta, you always drop the dome in front of it so that people can still DPS who are melee, aka the tank. And I'm putting like pretty, you know, reasonable 1.5k deeps here on them. Like, we want to keep deeping. We want to keep building holy power to off heal. Right, so we're going to move to the Squall. Bow. There it is. That's the mechanic. Both range DPS, because they're hard casting, maybe because they're also eating blur stacks, they dead. They real dead. Beast Mastery Hunter, like 100% uptime. I don't know. OP. Everything's instant cast. I'm looking for now. I'm looking for the triple Beast Mastery group. That is it. And yeah, Resto Shaman. That's my comp. And I'm gonna talk about later on, especially in higher keys, as we get into some of these affixes, how melee is just so bad to bring melee. Melee bring more kicks. Death Knight. I'll take an Unholy Death Knight for the grip help. Like, that helps me with a lot of pulls. If like I'll take the majority of the group, but like that slime in the background, you grip them over. Lifesaver, run saver, right? So Unholy DK, Shroud skipping, I never rely on. I will continue to not rely on what rogues bring for utility because it's just unreliable. Range DPS, I'm sorry, unless it's my guild. I'm just like, I'm not so sure. And when we're guilding up, we did like a pretty high key with my guild and we needed 1 DPS and we waited for like 10 minutes for a hunter. And we got that hunter and the hunter pumped and carried us through that dungeon. Let me tell you, it was like a 200 hunter. Yeah, that's that 3.5k sustained. We needed it. I don't know. But that's Sanguine Depths 7. I'm forming my opinions about this, and that's how I live my life. That's how I run my groups. And we're going to be doing plus 10s real soon. What do I get? Is that a good one? It's definitely no gear. Again, I don't really need gear from 7s like that. No, that's no good for me. But that's Sanguine Depths 7. Getting way more confident at tanking. Know my cooldowns, have my things. I think I'm going to go Dwarf. I'm not going to lie. So let me try Dwarf in a bit. I haven't done it yet, this switch over. But the Dwarf racial for tanking Alliance, that's it. I'll see you on the next video.